Hello and welcome to something new. So this is going to be a new series. The length of the videos for this series are going to be around about 10 minutes. Something that came out of the recent situation I had where I had effectively started to lose my voice, and I was putting out those sort of short unnarrated videos. I quite enjoyed the shorter format, but I also didn't want to detract from the regular long form videos I do. So I'm going to start a new series, and the attempt is to put out a 10-minute video every day in addition to everything else that goes out. And the series is going to be called something like The Daily Seeds of Flourishing. That's what this is going to be titled up with, and it really revolves around this, I suppose, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it, but a situation that occurs for me every day. So if I haven't mentioned it already, I like to walk, and I go out for at least 2 walks every day, one in the morning, one in the evening. I might do 3 walks and put one in the middle of the day, depends on the time of year. But I particularly enjoy the morning walks, and often when I go out for a morning walk I won't have any music on or listen to any podcasts. And in the process of walking, I find that probably about halfway round I start to come up with these really inventive and flourishing thoughts, which then sort of plant seeds in effect for the rest of the day. So I thought it'd be interesting to reflect on one of those thoughts that bounces into my head as I'm going round on a walk, and spin it out over 10 minutes. So I'm just going to set a timer for this on my iPad so I don't run over 10 minutes. So today's thought is, I was just thinking generally as I was going round about walking at sunrise. And obviously as I'm going round, I deliberately picked the time this morning to go out around about sunrise. So at the moment in Nova Scotia, that's around about 6:20 in the morning. And normally I go out for a walk around the same time, not normally as early as that, but of course during the year, as the hours of daylight change, I often find that walk does coincide with sunrise, and then obviously my evening walk might coincide with sunset. And one of the things you get at sunrise and sunset, and also that area around what they call the golden hour, is these wonderful skies and light. So I was walking around this morning, and what was really nice is it wasn't as dramatic as the picture I've got on the screen. So this is not around where I live. I've visited this area. This is in around Lunenburg County area, and this is around sunrise, I believe, there. And I just wanted to pick something. I did take a couple of photos this morning, but they weren't particularly great. They weren't as stunning as this. But of course, as I'm going round, I'm thinking about the glory of the sunrise and the sunset. And one thing that really you start to notice is just the wonderful light as it reflects off of buildings. So a lot of the houses around where I live had this lovely sort of red glow to them around sunrise. And the other thing is, if I'm not always listening to music, is all the sounds. Now it's funny, around sunrise it's mainly around where I live you hear crows. If I was to get up earlier than that and go out for a walk, then I hear different birds around that period before sunrise. So as I'm walking round, I'm just thinking about the whole concept of sunrise and sunset, and this thing about the colours, and other things like the actual beginning and the end of sunrise and sunset. So that sort of twilight period that you get, and the fact that it's like actually separated into different stages. So you have this morning, twilight, astronomical, nautical and civil, depending on the depth of the sun, the angle of the sun below the horizon, and as it breaks above the horizon. And then of course you see the same thing during evening twilight. And you get this period, as I mentioned before, which I believe is called the golden hour, and that's obviously a really popular time to film, to take photographs around that time. So let's just have a look actually. Yeah, the first hour after dawn and the last hour before dusk. Period of daytime shortly after sunrise or before sunset. The magic hour, that was the term I was thinking for. So in addition to those periods before sunrise, so twilight periods, you then get this hour after sunrise, the golden hour. Again, nice time to walk if you get the opportunity. And then as I'm walking around and watching the thoughts in my head start to flourish, start to think about other things, my mind was taken to all the spectacular sunsets that you see in certain places around the world. Like, for instance, if you've ever been to Stonehenge, I visited Stonehenge a couple of times, I think now, and not been fortunate enough to go there at sunrise or sunset, but as you probably imagine, and anybody that's experienced, to see sunrises and sunsets around standing stones is pretty spectacular. And also certain other geographies or even certain buildings can be pretty spectacular, particularly when you get the sun in a certain position or how it interacts with the clouds. But what's also interesting is because of the tilt of the earth, you get this phenomenon in certain places of the world at certain times of the year where the sun remains visible at local midnight. And this occurs in the summer months in places north of the Arctic Circle. Or conversely, you get a similar effect south of the Antarctic Circle, again at certain times of year. And of course you get the reverse of that. So in the Arctic Circle in the winter, you don't there's perpetual darkness for certain periods of time, and I can imagine that can be very challenging. And of course certain cities in the world, and this would be the case obviously in the Arctic Circle, exist, are in that area. And so there's quite a large populations in the world actually get to experience that, for good or bad. And I imagine, obviously, if it's perpetual darkness, that will be fantastic for watching the skies, looking up and seeing all the stars in their full magnificence, that sort of thing. And I've got an opportunity in a few weeks. Hopefully, it'll be good. Where we're going to a particular place in Nova Scotia, which is known for dark skies, and we're going there during a new moon. And hopefully, we'll be able to look up the skies in one of these tents with a clear roof to it, and also get a chance to look through telescope as well. But it's dependent on the weather. Obviously, if the weather's rubbish, we're going to have to cancel. So yeah, this phenomenon. Now, again, as I'm thinking about the sun at different times of the year, I was minded to a film. It's not particularly a film I would generally associate with Flourishing, but it plays out interesting scenarios about living in areas of the world where there could be potential darkness, perpetual darkness, certain times of the year. And that's the Norwegian film Insomnia. It's actually a thriller. It's pretty dark, but I remember watching it at the time, and I found it really engaging film to watch, and very unique. It has been remade. I prefer the original, mainly because it's a lot darker. It's an interesting film because I was trying to think when I watched it whether there's any character in it that has any redeeming qualities, and that's part of what makes it so dark. So not necessarily a flourishing film in and of itself, but nonetheless it's makes you think about a number of different scenarios surrounding the whole situation, and concepts and other aspects that are brought up by the film. And then another film that I thoroughly enjoyed, which has a sun theme in it, is the film Sunshine from 2007. And so I think my time's pretty much up for this episode, so I'm gonna wrap it up around there. The other thing in closing I was thinking about is also I was minded to classical music pieces, things like the ones in the is it Peer Gynt Suite with Morning, and a lot of those tone poem type classical pieces which are attributed with sunrise as well. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this first of these episodes, which I'm going to be calling the Daily Seeds of Flourishing. Thanks for checking out. Bye for now, and I will catch you in the next one.